Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on. Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry-o! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Hello, everybody. This is your captain speaking. I am Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick. You'll notice I have actually put on the fasten seatbelt lights, and I want to let you know that I've got Phil Mead, who is our co-pilot, sitting next to me. Phil, how are you doing?
Good. I'd like to remind everybody that it's an imperial misdemeanor to leave the lavatory without washing your hands, and our in-flight crew is watching.
Yes, and those cameras can be anywhere.
There's no imperial regulations on where you can't put a camera.
Right. So check out shuttletydiriumcameracam.com. All right, J-Bot, our protocol droid. Cranky protocol droid. Actually been pretty decent all right. How are you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. Our Shuttle Tydirium camera channel has been racking up lots and lots of hits, so I'm pretty good with the financial flow right now at the moment, so I can't really complain. Excellent. So just make sure you do use the bathroom and make sure you wash your hands because someone will be watching you.
Excellent. And I am proud and happy and thrilled to announce Jake the Brake is back.
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me back aboard the shuttle.
So I know you've been working hard. You've been working on a lot of parts. You've been going to gather parts. You've been doing a little bit of extracurricular studying on engineering systems.
Oh, yeah.
So glad to have you back.
Yeah, like I said, it's great to be back. It's been a long stint, It doesn't help when I'm outside working on the engine and you guys engage the hyperdrive while I'm still outside. I know I've missed a couple of these casts.
Oh, come on, that was one time.
Listen, it felt a lot longer because you know how the space-time is all distorted when you're in hyperspace. But yeah, and I had a long little vacation there. We had a wake really for R3 droid,
Yeah.
And it was very sad, but you'll be happy.
Shame.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know, however, I did repurpose a lot of the parts from that R3 droid, and he'll be with us. Oh yeah. We took what I needed, and I used a little bit of his parts here in the shuttle, a little bit in the engine, and I also put some upgrades in our very favorite protocol droid.
Hey.
Wait, what? Upgrades?
You got that new motivator, right?
What? Why wasn't I told about this?
Yeah, you've been feeling
when did you do this?
Well, it was about the same time I was installing those Imperial cameras. I had to shut you down in order to install the cameras in your eye sockets, so you could have those extra.
I knew I should have been more suspicious.
But at least R3 is now with all of us now. He's part of the team and the shuttle. I'm really happy about that.
Oh, good for you.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the captain's question, and I'll just do a very casual, quick one. And I'll start with Jake. But what is your favorite soda or casual beverage of choice?
Well,
Jake, don't steal it. Don't steal mine. Don't you dare.
I'm hoping that I steal each and every one of yours all in one fell swoop, just like my Nightcrawler take a couple questions back. But let's see. If I have to go with my favorite soda, I'm going to go with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is going to be my favorite soda. And really, when it comes down to it, I mean, you got to trust the doctor. And so I find that I I appreciate that second opinion as it rolls down my throat.
I like Dr. Pepper too. And I actually, I can't remember, read or heard somewhere that the actual flavor for Dr. Pepper, that unique flavor, I think it's supposed to actually be prune juice, which is weird. But you know what? I don't care. I like Dr. Pepper.
That's really funny.
Yeah. All right. So how about J-Bot?
I'm going to go with the gamer standard of if I have to choose a soda and that's all I'm allowed to drink is soda, it's going to be some flavor of Mountain Dew. In other words, I'm not allowed to spice my soda up in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be some flavor of Mountain Dew. I pretty much enjoy all of them.
Do you like the red flavor and the blue flavor and the green flavor?
I actually, my favorite one I've never seen again. It was Ultraviolet because it was during the every few years Mountain Dew does this kind of playoff or tournament or whatever of sodas where they come out with I don't know, a dozen or 20 or 30 different crazy flavors. And based on sales, they keep, they kind of slowly eliminate them, and then eventually the last one gets to stick around as a final product. So I believe that's how they got the white one, which I cannot think of the name of off the top of my head, but I believe that's how that one came about. It was the last tournament winner, and Ultraviolet was one that lost in the first couple rounds of the of one of those tournaments. So I've only ever had 3 bottles. So my memory tells me it was awesome. It might have been, but yeah, in general, just stock standard Mountain Dew I would take. If I was allowed to doctor it up, I'd choose another soda, but just as a straight shot, that would be it.
No sophisticated adult beverages is what I'm thinking. But I know you robots need to have your lube, and it's good, like Bender says.
Exactly. Some of us need that in order to survive.
But I have to admit that I don't. I've only really had the regular kind, and I don't like Mountain Dew. It's just never really been one of those things. That, and I recall reading some report about Appalachia, or one of these, specials, and something about all these reports of toddlers where their parents give them Mountain Dew in a sippy cup, and toddlers with tooth decay. Anyways.
Yeah, I actually like the fact that it's not as carbonated as some of the crazier ones. There is one that most people probably don't know about. Jim, you might because you're from around here. Cheerwine. I love.
Oh, you're taking mine.
Oh, damn. Well, I'm sorry. I've never heard of that drink.
All right, let's zip it. All right, so Phil.
So there's this soda called Cheerwine, and no, I don't know.
Never heard of this before.
Yeah,
what's it like?
I have no idea what that is. I actually like a very obscure type of soda called ginger beer.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, I've had ginger beer.
Yeah, it's an incredibly spicy soda. It's non-alcoholic. I think it comes from Jamaica or something, and it's got a very, very strong ginger flavor, and it's got a real bite to it. I mean,
is that different from ginger ale somehow?
Very different.
It's different than ginger ale. It's kind of like root beer is a beer, but and there's different types.
I know I've heard of it, but I've just never.
Have you ever just taken a piece of a ginger root and bitten into it? It's kind of like that, but in a soda.
Closest I've had would be.
Go ahead and go try that later.
Oh, absolutely.
I actually used to work at a hippie grocery store that had all the crazy, different drinks and beverages, and I worked in the beverage section. And they had different kinds of ginger beers, different brands. And I will even say that different brands of ginger beer will taste completely different. So it's very odd. You could love or hate certain types of brands of ginger beer.
Yeah, some are relatively mild and some are very very spicy.
There was a favorable burn on the way down the esophagus.
It made you feel like you were drinking, but you weren't actually.
Yeah. Oh yes, I mean when this thing hits your stomach, I mean the chest hair just starts to sprout.
It's the only soda that you'll drink and then wince.
That sounds like a great tagline.
Yeah.
I need that as a tagline. It's the only soda you'll drink and then wince.
It's good to mix with stuff because it'll cover the taste of a lot of beverages, a lot of sophisticated adult liqueurs. But speaking of little catchphrases, the one I like, Cheerwine. It's their billboards down here in North Kakalaki say, born in the South, raised in a glass. And it's very funny. So I think it's pretty much a North Carolina thing. I don't know how far it goes past.
It is. It's actually, the reason I know it is because I grew up where it was basically bottled and everything. It's actually from my hometown. That's the reason. I know it. I actually like it, just not as much as obviously Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I like it. It actually has, I think, even more caffeine than Mountain Dew, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. I joke about people, but it is one of the most carbonated drinks you'll ever get because this has happened. We've dropped a 2-liter getting it from the car to the house before, and a buddy did like a quarter turn on the top, and it blew the top off, and it just went everywhere, and it was like flat in 5 minutes. Like but
it's like a
really
cherry
good.
drink.
Yeah.
So it's almost like cherry Dr. Pepper. I like it. I like it a lot. It's not like I mean, there are some like cherry sodas or red sodas, and it's not quite like that. I mean, it's not quite that red or cherry. It's just not like kid drink.
Yeah, it's very much a soda. It's not like carbonated fruit punch or like a cherry Coke. It's very much its own kind of entity. It is the bane of all carpets because if you spill it, it'll never come up. Because it is red. I mean, it is blood red. And somebody was telling me they were on the West Coast once, and they stopped in at one of those little food stores like Jim was talking about a minute ago, and they said they had 8-ounce bottles of it for $5 a piece, and the hippie dude behind the counter was like, "This is a specialized drink that only comes from this one little area on the East Coast," and he's like, "I can get you a case of that stuff for cheap if you want." But that just goes to show you, at least in my opinion, what sometimes when you go into your health food store or your local kind of store with weird stuff, it might not really be worth spending that kind of money on a drink just because somebody tells you it's this miracle drink from the other side of the country.
Oh, well, there is another soda that actually I like. It's interesting. It's rare. I haven't had it in years. Actually, I had it recently going to a Scottish festival. So it's a Scottish-only soda. And those few people in the UK might actually heard about it. Iron Brew. Their commercials are think different. And they're always very humorous commercials. It's a soda called Iron Brew, like as in BRU. And it's kind of like cream soda with a slight bubblegum taste. But it doesn't taste. It doesn't quite taste as like a sickly sweet as it sounds. Like
it does sound sickly sweet.
But it doesn't quite taste like it. It's more cream soda, but it's got a weird slight aftertaste. You're like, tastes like, I think it's bubblegum. So it's really more cream soda with a weird twist. And like, so my kids liked it. They were like, it's odd, but I kind of like it. And that's basically Iron Brew. So it's pretty good if you get the chance. At this point, like, was at Scottish Highland Games, and expensive, but in Scotland, it's all over the place. Chirp all over it.
Awesome. I'll have to see if I can find that somewhere.
Yeah, actually, I think we ended up try Hippie Grocery Store, but
good point. It'll probably be $5 or $10 a bottle.
Right, more about soda than I thought we actually would. So, let's see. At this point, I did want to talk about I will say, just to let people know, we want to talk in the future about a particular mission I've been working on. Just to let you know what I've been working on. I'm playing a number of games. We got Jason, our local guy, who loves TIE Punishers. I've been in second week in a row working on a mission with 4 fully decked out TIE Punishers and Gazanti with Grand Moff Tarkin, that we say is in his younger days, so he's like sub Moff Tarkin.
Oh,
and
that's
he's
funny.
I'm not sure of the Imperial ranks. I don't know what you go under Moff.
Right, and they found a pirate base, and because of asteroids and mines, they can't jump a capital ship in, so they have 4 fully decked TIE Punishers and a Gazanti with a fighter crew to blast the living bejeevuses out of a pirate base. And so last week we played, and it was too much. I think, like, by the time I got through all the turrets and mines and the first wave of Z95s and Seeks, when the 5 Kirax fighters came out, they just destroyed the TIE Punishers. Like, one a turn, like, you die. you die. And like, it was just utterly brutal. And it didn't help that Jason kept forgetting Sensor Jammer. But when we played this time, he sure didn't forget. I forgot. He kept reminding me. And I weakened a lot of the pirates and stuff, particularly even just to what actually I own, so I didn't have to borrow too much. Because I really found myself wanting more like Karax fighters and things. But the pirates got blasted to pieces. I tweaked a little too much. And one of the things I did was I turned the 4 TIE fighters that were on the Gazanti to TIE interceptors. And I think that was a bit brutal. And I reduced the turrets, which also was brutal. And a number of other tweaks that further helped the Imperials. But so we're going to try again next week. And I'll try to give a full mission segment when we talk about it, once I fully get it kind of up and operational.
Nice. Well, you know what they say. It's better to tweak too much than to twerk too much, as J-Bot found out.
What? I don't get it.
Don't worry about it. We wiped that memory.
Yeah, but you guys, the crew, or you pastors, can sure view it at ShuttleTydiriumCamera.com. But so I know, Jake the Break, you've been busy working in the engine room. I don't think you've had a lot of chance to play games, have you?
That is true. Unfortunately, I've been pretty dry in my game playing ability. I haven't even played video games in the past several weeks, so I've been dry.
Dude, what are we doing here? Somebody get this man the controller stat.
I know J-Bot's been helping me out with the missions and such, so he got to play the Gazanti tonight. He flew it much better than Jason did.
Yes, I was a master pilot of the Gazanti. 4 forward, basically. Second star to the right, and straight on until turn 10.
Right.
Awesome.
But Phil, I know there was a request out in the FFG forums for... Oh no, someone in Vassal wants to... Actually, it was Muan.
Right.
Was looking for someone to help join in the group of people playing the CR90 campaign. And I was like, this needs to go to the Shuttle Tydirium, podcast Facebook page, stat. So I did that, and actually you answered the clearing call.
Yeah, that's right. I had seen that he was doing this campaign event, I think when he started it up, but I didn't think that I had enough time. So I didn't join up at the start. But they needed an extra... Someone dropped out, I think. And they needed an extra guy to fill in for the Imperials, so I ended up joining up and played my my first game in this event Wednesday.
Cool.
So just to let everyone know what this is all about, Muan, who is the guy who maintains the X-Wing Vassal module. Mm-hmm. So if you've ever played on Vassal, it's because Muan has put in a ton of work.
Or at least played it recently, because I think it was in an interview, and he actually was the one who revamped it from the awkward thing that it was to the glistening, gleaming awesomeness it is now. But I never got to that point. I played it when it was bad, and I gave up on
it. I think I may have tried that first version, and it was very, very rough around the edges. But everything is... You can play a game on Vassal faster than you can play one on the table now.
True.
So he's running a casual CR90 campaign. So he's using the Point of No Return campaign that comes with the Tantive 4 expansion pack. And there's a little mission in there. I think it's a little campaign in there. I think it's 4 missions long.
Well, it's a tree, so it's like all epic ships have.
Right.
It's actually 3 missions, but the middle one could go
I think it's 4 missions.
Either way, depending on who won.
It's 4 missions. But there's 2 sets of alternate missions in the middle. So the first mission and the last mission are always going to be the same. But then there's 2 sets of 2 in the middle that you do depending on who won the first and the second missions.
Right. So you play 3 of the 4 missions.
No, you play 4 missions. 4 out of 6.
Oh, is there that many? Oh.
Yep.
I guess all the other ones, they lowered it down to 4. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, played the first mission last night, and that mission is just basically a little engagement with the Corvette up against 6 TIE fighters.
Nice.
The Corvette is loaded out the same in, I think, every mission, and it has... I'm probably going to forget all the teams that it has, but it has 2 turbo lasers in the front section, quad lasers in the back, Savannah gas. I think it has sensor team, gunnery team, and engineering teams. So it gets all the bonuses from those. So it's, it's pretty well stocked.
And I actually want to spend some time actually going through all the missions. Like, that's one of the future goals, is to actually play through the various missions, all of us, and talk about it. So we don't have to go too deep into it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're eventually going to go through this, I assume, but in the far future. So basically what happened was my opponent, Mega Silver, set up his CR90 sort of facing sideways to me on the other end of the table, and I was able to bring in my squad of TIE fighters, which is Howl Runner with 5 Black Squadron pilots.
Nice.
I was able to bring them in. I was able to bring them in sort of on the Corvette's flank and force them to only be able to reinforce one of the 2 sections that I could target. I managed to get 2 attack runs in like that, one right after another. By like the first one, I just advanced normally in a basic formation, and then after in the turn after that, I self bumped, so I stayed pretty much in the same place, lost a bunch of actions. But was able to get another round of shots in with pretty much the same angle on the Corvette. And when you get a side attack on any huge ship with 2 sections at close range, it's very hard for them to stand up against that. So I was able to take down one of the sections in one mission.
Wow, nice.
All right, continue.
So that's the end of that. For that mission ends when you cripple one of the sections of the CR90. So I think I could have gone on to destroy it, but because I still had all my TIE fighters up at that point, I was pretty lucky, and Mega Silver wasn't able to take out Howl Runner on the approach. Most of the other games have so there's 2 other games that have been played for the first mission. I think the idea is to have 4 sets of opponents playing all these missions in Muon's event. And the other 2 games that have been played, the Imperial players lost Howl Runner on the approach. But my Howl Runner survived for the whole attack run, so I was able to really push that attack in.
Booyah. Excellent.
So now we'll go into the next mission, and hopefully we can play that relatively soon.
Excellent. Very cool. I did want to talk about, actually, just really briefly, something that I read on the FFG forums. Engine 25 came up with, he suggested something that I thought was really cool, and of course most of the FFG forums dismissed it, but I thought it was amazing. Let me pull it up here. It is Nora with either R3A2 or Push the Limit, and for crew, Ezra. And I had to actually look up Ezra crew because I don't usually play Rebels, but most of the stuff that's been around for forever, I've actually, I've actually played before. But so Nora, when attacking or defending, if you have a target lock, you can spend it to add 1 eyeball result to your result. And Ezra basically says, when attacking, if you are stressed, you may change one of your eyeball results to a critical hit. So pair that together, and you basically turn Nora's ability, you spending the target lock, into a free crit. And like if you do it, so I was looking at the numbers overall, and if you do it without Ezra or any other ability, you're getting like 2.25 damage a turn. But when you combine it with like either R3A2 and Ezra, you're bumping up to expected damage of 2.8 per turn with a 96% chance of a crit. And if you're using it with target lock, so you push the limit to get a target lock focus, you're basically pushing up to a 3.33 expected damage per turn. So I'm pulling out MathWing here. I'm pulling out all the X-Wing calculator.
You totally lost me there. That sounds like Power Gamer talk.
But basically, your chances if you do like push the limit Nora Wexley with Ezra Crew, so you focus lock target every round, and then you use the target lock to throw in that extra eyeball, and then use Ezra Crew because you're stressed now to turn that eyeball into a critical hit. It's like you're getting at least 3 hits per turn. There's a 92% chance that you're basically getting at least 3 hits. And with a 96% chance of at least 1 crit in there. So
question.
Yeah.
If you have push the limit and you use push the limit, then you already have a target lock and a focus token. Unless you have some other, ability on the ship. So the difference between this build with and without Ezra Bridger is that instead of you being able to turn your focus into a hit, you can turn your focus into a crit.
True. So then there's R3A2, which is basically when you attack, you can give yourself a stress and give that same stress to your opponent. And that ability, you don't have the extra focus. And
okay, yeah.
With that, you're actually giving the stress out to them, and you're doing more damage as well to them. So that one might be a bit more nuanced in that regard. But you're giving stress and doing more damage at the same time. I just thought that was amazingly cool.
I think it might be fine without push the limit, really. And just
put
different
PPT on. Don't use push the limit. Throw on VI or something, as everyone always tends to do. But or what if some other combo? But basically, using Ezra Crew and R3A2 Astromech to do that with her ability, you can really dish out some damage.
Yeah, because you're getting a soft focus from Ezra.
Yeah,
so you don't really need that focus. You're not often going to use that focus on defense because you only have 1 green die. So
right, well, you're using the target lock to generate the extra even die result to add to your total because you're only a 3 attack die ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really cool way to use Nora. So I thought it's pretty interesting.
I never thought of that before.
Yeah, and actually, there's a local guy, Doc, who caught up with our podcast on the way to Gen Con. He drove up there the entire way and back and listened to all of our podcasts from the beginning.
And somehow didn't go off the road into a bridge abutment or anything like that.
Kill himself. So, and he said that he's been trying ARC 170s with R3 Astromech, and he says he loves it. He goes, "Oh, I disagree with most of you guys." I'm like, "Hey, I always loved R3," but he said that
we all did.
Yes, we did.
Like
now apparently he's a part of us.
Only some of us.
He'll apparently always be with us.
Always. But Doc really liked R3 with an ARC 170. And I think particularly Nora, because you can get that free eyeball result and just, boop, it's now an evade. And he said with the one green die, it really helped keep them alive a bit more than he thought. So there's that.
Yeah, speaking of the arc, tonight Doc had brought, I guess, at least one of each of the new ships. And they look awesome. I mean, up close, they look amazing. So
yep.
If you have not seen them in person, they do look great. And I'm going to get it wrong. The Fang fighter, the Protectorate fighter, is like just microscopically thin. I feel like it's almost as thin as like one of the foils on a TIE fighter. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, I didn't see it tonight. I'm kind of jealous. I'm so busy running the game, but cool. All right. So with that, and talk of Gen Con, we went through all the news from last week. I thought tonight we could talk about the Wave 10 release.
Yeah, sounds good.
And with that, they released an article. So they kind of did a presentation, which everybody shared on Twitter and Facebook and the interwebs, and then they released a article on FFG News. I'll show you the dark side. So with that, the first ship that comes up has been creating a buzz on the internet, on the FFG forums, and some people hating it and some people going, whatever. But the first is Sabine's TIE Fighter expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what faction, J-Bot?
Oh, this is a Rebel faction one. And it looks awesome. I could actually add a TIE fighter to my Rebel group of figures and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, you can practice your barrel rolls.
I was amazing with barrel rolls. Apparently, they're really good.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Tonight, he was helping out Jason with the mission. He was playing Imperials, and he did barrel rolls.
Just not used to having them on ships. I got to get used to them so that when I attach that modification to my Hawks, I'll know what the heck I'm doing.
Right. So our chief engineer, do you want to go over the technical specs? I know no one's really familiar with the stats of a TIE fighter.
Right. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. Well, first of all, just a quick aside. I'm a guy, an engineer who really likes the beauty in things that are functional and engines that are purring and hyperdrive cores that are actually working. But I do have to say, I like the look of this TIE fighter. I mean, I like the Star Wars Rebels, and I really like the way that they've incorporated that into the game now. It's a cool piece of art, this TIE fighter.
Do we want to give a background story? Like, you've seen the episodes, I know I have.
Sure.
Want to tell what the heck is this?
Well, you can fill in the blanks a little bit for me, but basically, I don't know how in depth to go for the whole explanation, but Sabine.
Yeah, very brief.
Okay, very brief. Sabine and the crew of the Ghost, they stole a TIE fighter, and they were supposed to get rid of it. Kanan wanted them all to get rid of it, but instead of getting rid of it, Ezra kind of hid it on the planet, and then Sabine kind of got to it as well, and they all realized that, we didn't actually ditch that TIE fighter. And then Sabine actually started spray painting it and making it into this beautiful piece of art, which was kind of comical because at one point they actually needed a TIE fighter to, sneak aboard a Star Destroyer. And so they went to the TIE fighter, and then they saw that Sabine had painted it. And, well, there goes our, element of surprise. There goes being stealthy, because now we got this bright red and orange TIE fighter that all they have to do is look out the window and be like, that's not Imperial color schemes. But anyway, that's the brief version of it. So getting back to the stats of this thing.
Well, let's say that she's a Mandalorian-raised young lady who's also a street artist with spray paint, and she loves explosives. But
she does. And almost every time that she explodes something, she tries to put that little rebellion insignia. Everything that she can.
So go on with the stats.
All right. So for our stats for this Sabine's TIE fighter, we've got 2 attacks, as you would expect. We've got 3 evade, as you would expect. We've got 3 hull, also as you'd expect, and no shields, again, as you would probably expect from a TIE fighter. And we have the barrel roll, of course. We have the evade, and we have focus. And as far as the upgrades, it looks like you can get an elite pilot talent for at least one of these cards.
Right. So overall, it's your standard TIE fighter.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 pilots. They are all unique.
Correct.
So much like the ARC 170.
Yeah.
And the one that they show is Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
And Sabine has the same ability that she has in the attack shuttle.
Right. And also, she's not even the highest flying pilot there either, which is interesting. She's only 5. There's a 7.
Right.
So go over Sabine's ability, Phil.
So Sabine's ability is immediately before you reveal your maneuver, you can perform a free boost or barrel roll action.
Which is cool, since the TIE doesn't have a boost ability.
Right, exactly.
And it's PS5 with an EPT title. And so that's the only upgrade you can get on that. So that's not bad. It's kind of interesting. And
it's also pretty cheap, points-wise.
Yeah. It's 15 points for Sabine. So just PS5, 15 points. And what is it? A Black Squadron's 14 points at PS4 with an EPT. So she gets 1 pilot skill ability and the EPT, and for only 1 more point. So, or the special ability. The special,
unique pilot ability.
Yeah. Now the other ones, there is a Pilot School 3 Zeb. We don't know anything more about.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Pilot School 4 Cap, which everyone's guessing is Captain. Oh, I'm blanking on his name. Yeah. Rex. Captain Rex from Clone Wars, who's also in Rebels.
Awesome.
At PS4. And there's also PS7, and it looks like Ahsoka.
Ahsoka,
yeah. Tano from Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's Pilot School 7, the highest. Now, there's also, isn't there a title for this?
Yeah, there's Sabine's Masterpiece.
Unique title.
Yep, unique title, and it reads your upgrade.
Wait, TIE Fighter only, Rebel only.
Right. Your upgrade bar gains the crew and I think that's illicit.
Yep.
Upgrade icons.
Yep.
And now, it costs 1 point.
The crew I can see because there's a few episodes where a bunch of them cram themselves in the TIE Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
They fly around, so
awesome.
They're actually they do kind of push the limits to push limit to actually getting people in there. So you get a crew and you get an illicit. So another chance for Rebels to get illicit. There's all sorts of crazy things you can do. And but some people are like, oh, the Rebels could do a TIE Swarm. Well, the thing is, the most TIE fighters you could ever do in a list is 4, because there's 4 unique, but only one of them can actually take Sabine's Masterpiece.
Correct, yeah. So you're not really going to get a full TIE Swarm.
Right. And there's a bunch of different things, and there's one of those
condition cards.
Condition cards. Phil, do you want to talk about the condition cards?
So condition cards are a new type of card that they're introducing in Wave 10. And it's a persistent game effect that you can assign to certain ships. And one we know most about is comes with a different ship. But essentially it's a big card text new type of card. So one of the things that has sort of been bugging the developers for a while is that just these cards do not have a ton of space for text for abilities, so they have to be they're a little limited in what they can actually
very brief
do, because they only have so much space in a card.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing all the kind of 0-point upgrades like the tail gunner and was it the Rebel?
No,
I can't think of that for the ARC.
I think it's
I'm not thinking about that. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the one for the ARC. That's like the Rebel Overhaul. Was that the one I'm thinking of?
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Where they did that for the
ARC one,
Special Forces one as well, where they have essentially a whole other very cheap title that gives them a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep. Now there was someone did use their voodoo magic to enlarge what you could see, and I can't remember what it's called, but and I can't recall the actual text. They were able to say blip, and they had guessed what it said, but their overall guess was that an enemy of a lower blank can't attack you until you attack first.
Yeah, I think that's for the capture, not the condition card, but the it looks like it's probably going to be captured ship or captured tie, or maybe just captured.
Okay.
It's a modification card that's unique, and it looks like it's TIE Fighter only, and a modification. That looks like it's going to be. That's what you're talking about where it sort of restricts something has to do with attacks. My guess is that either that or possibly the condition card are going to prevent enemy ships from targeting you in some circumstances. So
right. So you're right, completely right. I got the condition wrong, but basically, it looks like I'm guessing it's going to be pilot skill, so that someone of a lesser pilot skill can't target you and shoot at you until you shoot first, and that puts a very interesting spin on being able to take, say, like Sabine's masterpiece, and how you can put like an illicit and a crew and an EPT on a ship, and maybe perhaps not even shoot, but like cause a lot of mayhem.
Well, so for example, just having like Saboteur on it or something? Or?
Well, I was thinking, what if you put it on, I don't know, Sabine, and you put like, cracky, what is the one of you touching bases, they lower their agility?
Intimidate or intimidation?
Intimidate. Yes, you put Intimidate as an EPT, and then put, I don't know, either Intelligence Agent, so you can find out what someone's dial is, or some other crew that gives a bonus to other ships around it. There's a number of them that could do it. That you basically fly Sabine in to hit people. You want to bump. You get the extra like booster barrel roll. Like you look at their dial to see where they're going. You get the booster barrel roll, and you get in so that basically you're touching bases with people, and it reduces their agility by 1. So 1, they're not getting actions. 2, they're losing their agility. They're reduced agility by 1, and the rest of your team can shoot them.
Yeah, it could be a very potent blocker, especially because of her ability.
Yeah, so it's a blocker that can mess with people but won't get shot, except for someone of a higher PS or whatever it says it is, which we don't know. But overall, it could make some very clever combos of what you could do.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a very interesting ability when we eventually see it in its full text.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've always sort of toyed around with, thinking about what a captured ship or I think one of my ideas for a mechanic like this was something like a fake transponder, where the idea is where your ship would be sending back codes for the other side, so they would think it was one of theirs until they either got too close or they put a target lock on it, or until you shot them, they couldn't fire at it.
Now, one question I have is, what do you guys think of the idea of the Rebels being able to now fly a TIE fighter?
I'm fine with it. I mean...
Yeah, I'm okay with it as well.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue. It's not like you said, they're going to fly a giant swarm of these things, and it's going to suddenly make all Rebel players want to fly TIE swarms.
Right. Like you said, it's still a TIE fighter. It's got 3 green dice and 3 hull, and you can just kill it.
Right.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, I feel like thematically I get it. Like Rebels, that's their thing. I mean, stealing Imperial designs and using them. I mean, a lot of the Rebel ships anyway are just like flat out Imperial, like the Y-wing, Even the X-wing actually came from the Ark, which was Federation, and sorry, not Federation, Republic, and then turn into Imperial design. So I think it's actually thematically okay. It doesn't bother me. I just don't want to. I don't want to one day see Imperials using Rebel ships for some weird.
Yeah, that would not make as much sense.
I said the same thing for Scum. I don't see any reason why they couldn't pretty much use anything that's out there, short of large, kind of capital style ships, because it makes sense. They're just hot wiring essentially whatever they can find, or salvaging it. So it's like, why can't they have X's? Maybe not tons of them, but the same kind of idea. Here's an X-wing, but it's got all unique pilots. So it's a very specific one. I got a dumb question for you guys. Did the original, I guess, kind of single TIE Fighter expansion pack come with the Ion tokens? Or no?
No, I was about to say.
I wonder if that's what that EMP thing is?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, EMP something.
It's an illicit upgrade. We can't really see the whole thing, but I'm guessing based on the Ion tokens that it probably is a burn your, instead of attacking, flip the switch and ionize everything within range 1 would be just a rough guess.
Yeah, or it does something. Yeah, probably flip it and.
Yeah, if that's true, it could be similar to what you were talking about. That this is designed, or at least as a piece, as just a really nasty blocker for the rebels. Just get in the middle and zap everybody. And if they can't shoot back, if it's not considered an attack, and they theoretically couldn't shoot back, then it could be very nasty.
I agree. Now, some people also wondered if this opens the door for a certain Lambda shuttle to be available for Rebels.
Well, that would
Tydirium.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that's true.
I could totally see that actually happening in the future. Now, it hadn't even occurred to me. Good call, Captain.
Yeah, I
just hope they have some good crew on that one.
hopefully they do have a J-Bot crew card, and that would actually be so awesome.
That would be the funniest thing ever, though. I'd want the Greedo. If I had to choose a card for my character, I want the Greedo. You have a chance of shooting yourself, or it's like the first damage card dealt is face
critical.
up.
Yeah.
Oh, what would you want as your card then? Or maybe that's a feature.
I'll tell you what. If they do actually make the Shuttle Tydirium for Rebels, I am totally going to Photoshop our own cards and add them into Phil's card contests, and it's going to be the 4 of us special pilots. It's going to be awesome.
So Jake, you would prevent anyone from doing a 2-bank, but you would gain the full stop as a white maneuver.
I love it. That's perfect.
That's pretty funny though. I didn't think about it, but you're right. If they're going to start crossing the lines with some of this stuff and still staying within the kind of universe, then there are a lot of possibilities for these sorts of things, especially as they expand into the kind of the cartoons and stuff. And who knows what the new movie's going to have as sort of, stolen ships and things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's something we'll have to actually ask our listeners out there. If you can think of good crew abilities or pilot abilities for us, go to our Facebook page and post.
Ignores cloaking for Jim.
I love it. Excellent. All right.
Cloaking device does not work against you in any form, fashion, or otherwise.
I love it. So yeah, go ahead and post and we'll see. Yeah,
the last thing I have, and this kind of goes across all the ships. I know we're going to get to the next one here shortly, but there's a kind of hexagonal token that's in every single one of them that seems to share the artwork of either a card or something that's in the set.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes me wonder what that is. So, for example, this one seems to share the same artwork as the 4 pilot skill pilot, whereas one and the other one actually shares it with, I think it's a crew card when we get to one of the other ships. So that little token, I'm very curious if that, for example, that token seems to hook to the ongoing effect new addition to the rules, and I'm wondering if that ties to this pilot skill 4 guy. If that's kind of the line that they're drawing. but they're in. It seems to be in every single set if you look closely with your magnifying glasses and everything else.
Yeah, there's a condition with each of these, and the artwork is similar.
Yeah. Do we want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on. So, Jake, what are we looking at here?
All right, guys. Well, this is my personal favorite of the new wave, the Upsilon class shuttle expansion pack. This is that incredibly sleek shuttle. It has, you can see that the roots of it are from the Shuttle Tydirium, or I should just say the Imperial shuttle. You can see it's got those like 2 wings that can fold up, and it was seen in the Force Awakens movie. This was the shuttle that carried Kylo Ren to various locations. It's a sleek black ship, hard to see against the dark void of space, with a nice red tinted front glass panel for looking out in your. Obviously, you want to look out in a Sithy fury. You know,
very, very stylish.
Very stylish red eyes. Anyway, so this is our ship. It's a large ship, just like the shuttle, just like the Millennium Falcon, and it has a forward firing arc. It has 4 attacks. 4 attacks for this ship, which is pretty cool. It's
which
got
is only shared by the Phantom and the Ghost.
Correct. Yes.
All spooky titled things.
Definitely. And then it has only 1 evade. It has, however, 6 hull and 6 shields available to it, which is pretty nice. And then as far as the abilities it's got, it has a focus, it has a target lock, and then it has this other ability, which I'm looking at right now. Can you guys see this
Coordinate.
as well? Coordinate ability. Okay,
Which
that's
is from
what it is.
Epic.
That, you know what? I was
Epic
thinking that's what it
level
was. So then we have the coordinate ability, which I'm sure is going to spark some interesting discussion.
Which is basically like the squad leader, without the limitations. So basically, you pick another ship within, I think, range 3, and you give them an action. So you're basically spending your action to give it to another person.
Right.
And as far as upgrades, at least on the Kylo Ren card that I can see, you've got the Elite Pilot, you've got the sensors, you've got 2 crew, and then 2 other upgrades, which I'm not sure. Are those astromechs, or is that something else?
There's new ones, tech, yeah.
Tech.
Actually, 2 tech ones.
Tech, okay, good. So then 2 techs. So that's what we're looking at here.
So, can I just start off by saying, I look at this, and I just want to call it the Batwing.
Definitely.
Or the Renbat.
The Renbat.
The Kylo Ren, Batwing. The Renbat. Or the Batwing.
It sort of does look like a Batarang.
The Bat Shuttle.
Like a Batarin.
And I heard that the wings do fold from someone. But
yeah, there was a picture from Gen Con where they were folded up.
I don't know.
I'll go ahead and give my 2 cents. This ship is too freaking big. I mean, come on. Like, I don't play Imperial, but I feel bad for the Imperial people who have to fit this ship that's very obviously 3 times the width of a normal large base. I mean, when the wings are out. And that means when the wings are up,
those are pretty immense.
It's going to basically be 2 times the length of one, even off the pegs. That's insane. And
it is going to be hard to store.
Yeah, there's going to have to go back to my storage rant, basically.
I was just thinking about that.
For this. But I'm glad I don't.
Plano, we're looking for sponsorship.
Yeah, don't forget Plano. I'm here when you need me. I was trying to sell it tonight pretty hard, but I don't so much mind it. I just I feel bad for anyone who's going to buy more than one, and I know there will be buying more than one for whatever reason.
What the freak are the wings? I just like, why are they bent up like that? I just don't get it.
They are huge, but I think in the film though, I think we only ever saw them like fully up, like when it was landing.
Yeah, they were doing the kind of conversion, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like it landed there
Did
before.
we actually ever see? Because my memory's a little foggy now.
We see them sort of bent when it's first showing up at the.
That's right.
Castle.
They're not fully down. They're just like at a 45-degree angle or something, right? Like
I don't think
that's
they
what
go full. Yeah,
that's what the pictures on the cards are too. That looks like they do have kind of a 45-degree or so cant on them. They never go all the way down, which doesn't help with the spacing, but I guess it helps if another ship tries to fly by it in the game. It can still fit underneath the wings.
Of course. I mean, I do see that there is a card here that talks about if the wings of this vessel knock over any piece while you're moving it, that counts as a critical hit against another model. So
that's like the old Orc War Buggy rule from 40K. You can put in as many figures onto it as you wanted to, but if when moving said buggy, if a figure fell out of it, you had to roll on it to see if it got there. But it was a legit. It's like that is awesome. But it was just a giant. It was almost like a giant bucket. Was like the shape of that vehicle.
That is very cool rule.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about this thing.
Yeah, I don't know
maybe I'll warm up to it. But...
I don't know how functional it is at all. I agree with you. It is big and cumbersome. I still like the way it looks, though.
How does its points compare to a regular shuttle? Because it's got the 2 crew slots, and I'm wondering, it's got some new systems in it.
It's got a lot more available than the Imperial shuttle. That's for sure.
Right. So it's got more. We've got new systems in this that we haven't seen before. At least I haven't seen before. So it makes me wonder if this is going to be a new kind of carry vehicle for our favorite friend or not.
Palpatine. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was curious. I don't know the points.
The pilot skills 6 Lambda shuttle, Colonel Jendon, I think.
Yep.
Is 26 points, and the pilot skills 6 Kylo Ren shuttle here is 34. So that's an 8-point difference. So for that 8 points, you get access to all these crazy upgrades. You get the coordinate action, and you get 1 extra hull, 1 extra shield, and the extra attack, which is very significant.
And the tech slots.
Right. I don't think it has a cannon.
Which no one really took a cannon on a Lambda anyways.
I think it does have... Does it have a system slot?
I don't think.
Yes, it does.
I think that looks like a system slot to me. So you can have system tech combo and there might be a good one coming.
And do we want to go over the ability of the Kylo Ren? Because I actually had to pull up, yet another X-wing list generator to actually read what his abilities are. Why
don't you read it off?
The first time you were hit by an attack, each round, deal the "I'll show you the dark side" condition card to the attacker. Which I guess we want to...
That's a pilot skill? That's a unique pilot skill on there?
That's the unique pilot skills. If you attack and you hit him, you dish out the condition card. The condition card is... When this card is assigned, which is basically once a turn for the first person who attacks you, if it is not already in play, the player who assigned it searches the damage deck for 1 damage card with a pilot trait and may place it face up on this card. Then shuffle the damage deck. When you suffer critical damage during an attack, you are instead dealt the chosen face-up damage card. When there is no damage card on this card, remove it. So basically, you pull out a nasty crit and you stick it out there, and whenever that ship suffers a critical hit, they take the pilot crit that you pick.
So that can be pretty good.
Okay, this is a dumb question. Whose damage deck do you pull it out of? Yours? Because doesn't that start to change the percentages of cards if you start, or do you take it out of your opponent's damage deck?
I don't know.
If you take it out of yours, you could deny yourself from getting that card.
Right, that's what I was curious. Like, am I taking it out of my damage deck? And thus saying, that's the one I didn't want.
Damage deck.
The future.
Have we been playing wrong this entire time? Are we not supposed to have 2 damage decks, 1 for each person?
No, in tournaments that's the way it is, but casual game I think it's just 1. But
Yeah,
future, the dark side. It's cloudy.
I found a problem. Woohoo! I'm
Vindication, J-Bot, vindication.
Yes, they kept me around for something. But I'm really interested in this just because the Kylo Ren crew is just an action to choose a ship. It's not, you don't have to wait to be shot at.
Yep.
Right.
So that's it's like, I wonder what the really cheap version of the shuttle is that you can essentially get the Kylo Ren card free, or not for free, but for cheaper than getting the Kylo Ren shuttle.
So do you want to quick go over that card real fast, or?
Well, the Kylo Ren crew card.
Crew card, yeah.
It's basically almost exactly the same thing as the pilot, except for it's an Imperial only single crew card. And for an action, you assign the "I'll show you the dark side" condition card to any enemy ship, or an enemy ship within range 1 to 3. So it's, in a sense, for 3 points, yeah. But instead of waiting to be shot at by someone, you can just take an action and say that guy is going to have this same sort of effect on them. I'm a little curious how far in advance you need to plan this, if that makes sense. Like, you need to. I'm getting ready to start hitting this guy with criticals, or if there's some other combo out there that I'm obviously not aware of that would make this even more powerful. It seems a little odd, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like crazy broken or anything. And I know there's things you can do to get critical hits through, and like Mangler cannons are one, but there aren't really a lot of Imperial ships that can take cannons. Maybe the Lambda shuttle, so maybe put Kylo Ren on a Lambda.
Yeah, it might be hard. It might be hard to get this ability off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm just curious. I mean, I've been through games where there might be 1 or 2 criticals total that actually get through, and ultimately are there long enough that they just don't kill the ship, in a sense.
Hey, you can stick Kylo Ren on Imperial Cath Scarlet. And try to have her...
a lot of interesting things, yeah.
Yeah. Try to create crits or avoid the crit, and take a stress, or... Yeah.
And there is another condition card that comes in this pack for the General Hux crew that we can't really see.
Yep. And they kept that one... It looks like they've got it vaguely halfway uncovered in the picture. I'll let somebody else kind of decipher it, but I think that's the one that's...
I think it says if your dice roll against you, get really flustered.
It's like fanatical devotee or something like that.
Yeah, something about one attacking, something with this focus token, probably to change the result of some dice. This is something to do with focus results, critical results. I'm not really sure. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't really know. And there's also the Kylo Ren shuttle, which is a title.
Right. Does anyone have a good read on that? I don't really have a good...
I have only had to go to the yet another X-Wing builder list, or whatever it's called. It's a 2-point title, Epsilon class shuttle only. At the end of the combat phase, choose an unstressed enemy ship at range 1 to 2. Its owner must assign a stress token to it, or assign a stress token to another ship at range 1 to 2 of you that the player controls. Basically, you pick a ship and say it's in range 1 to 2 of you, and say you take a stress, or that person can say, I'm going to give it to another ship that's in range of the shuttle at 1 or 2 that person controls. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that could be pretty cool, especially if you're facing somebody that has multiple ships that stress themselves. So if you're, let's look at the classical PAL bases list. You probably have Sunterfell and the Inquisitor both with push the limit. Each turn they usually get 1 stress each, and they're fine with that because they can clear that with a green move. But if you can take one of their stress tokens and give it to the other one, you make that guy incredibly vulnerable because they can't clear 2 stress tokens, and you can probably make them pay for that.
But part of the thing is that you have to pick an enemy ship that's not stressed.
Oh, yeah.
So you pick something that's not stressed and stress it, and they either let that ship get stressed, or they pick another ship in their list that's close and give that the stress.
Yeah, it has to be range 1 to 2, but that one, the second ship, doesn't have, or it can be stressed, is the way I read that. So you choose an unstressed ship, and he can choose, do I want that one to stay stressed, or give it to one that's already stressed, or not.
So if they don't have an unstressed ship nearby, then they would have to give it to another ship that already is stressed.
Well, no, because it's basically choose an unstressed enemy ship at range 1 or 2. If there is no unstressed enemy ship at range 1 or 2, then you can't use the ability. So it's a little odd. So it's not good for like a list that's full of push the limit aces. But I have to wonder how much is black market slicer tools going to do, eliminate push limit aces. That I think Wave 9 has a lot of things that basically screw like your push limit arc dodgers, including the big one being that illicit black market slicer, where you take the action, roll a die, and you could remove if you get a hit or crit, you remove the stress from that particular ship, but you dish them the damage. So you might not actually see a lot. I'm hoping that it actually removes a lot of push limit arc dodgers from the meta, but we'll see. But overall, it's an odd title, It
just feels like an odd ship in general, really. It's a lot of who knows what all those systems are going to do in the cards that we really can't see very well. So there might be some other things in there that are more easy to understand, but just what I'm seeing is a little confusing. It just feels like a support ship.
Yeah, but it's got 4 attack dice. So I mean, the bat.
Right, it's like a very very offensive
arm to the
support
teeth
ship. Yeah, but it doesn't have any real like offensive upgrade ability. If that makes sense. So it's.
Well, it can take a system, so it can take fire control.
Yeah. Right, but you can't load it up like you said earlier with cannon or anything like that. So it feels very much like
a cannon.
Yeah, it's got a 4 attack.
No, I know what I'm saying. It feels like it's very much a system heavy, crew heavy sort of support ship that if it has to, it can has a pretty big attack for it.
I think that if you have this in your list and you don't use it to attack, you're probably going to be in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not saying don't use it for attack. I'm just saying that it feels like it's very much a support ship in general that has a very large attack if it needs it.
Yeah, it's like a nastier version of the Lambda shuttle, really.
Yeah. It jumps up in your face and says, "I'm Batman." It knocks your teeth out. Yeah. So it's odd. What are your thoughts, Jake the Break?
Yeah, well, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and like I already said, the ship looks interesting to me. I love the Lambda because it was one of my favorites, and I really like that this is kind of an aggressive ship.
I have to admit that I'm not really excited about it.
That's interesting. I'm actually not super excited about Sabine's tie. I'm more excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm more excited about Sabine's tie than I am about this. It's funny because
I'm just overall excited about both so far. Color me excited.
Yeah.
So they need to be Sabine's tie.
I hate everything. I hate all of them.
See, we got a nice spread going on here. We got one of us who loves everything, one of us who hates, and then split down the line between the pilot and the co-pilot.
All these new cards are confusing. Why do we have to add even more weirdness? And there's going to be more phases. We're going to have to change our Venn diagram or whatever the hell we've got, Gantt charts and all this other crap to figure out when I can play my card and my tokens and when to remove them. Oh, it's going to get even worse.
You actually bring up a good point. The first thing that I thought of when I heard about these new rules to it, and obviously, Phil, you kind of touched upon it, how there was a physical limitation with the cards. The developers really wanted to add more, but they couldn't. And I know that you've joked about it before in the past, J-Bot, how, when you go to the gaming clubs and you see the guys that are looking through the rule books, you're always like, oh, those are the ones playing Warhammer 40,000.
There's 40K, yep.
Exactly. So I almost wonder, and I have a slight fear, is this is this just kind of like that slippery slope where all of a sudden X-Wing is going to get these really heavy, these really dense rules? Because part of the joy of X-Wing, I thought, was just it was a very easy game to pick up and go. Everything was right there on a little card, and it's like, oh, okay, that's all I need to know. Now with the more additions that we have there, I'm just wondering from each of the other three of you, like, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's getting too convoluted, or is the excitement factor too much right now, or
there is people who are wondering if it's jumped the shark. The rules.
I'm getting concerned. I mean, I've obviously been concerned, but when I first got into it, it was one of the biggest selling points was you can get into the game, starter set, and have a competitive army for $100. Mm-hmm. And you can learn the rules in like 15 minutes. I can teach you how to play. And then it really just comes to the nuance of the cards. Mm-hmm. But when, I think it was Jim was sorting his cards out the other week, you have like 300 or 400 cards. And I know some of them are duplicates, but somebody has to have the number of individual, unique, upgrade cards and things. Mm-hmm. Then you have here's a timing plan. It does very much feel like if we have a third edition, the book's not going to be 20 pages anymore. It's going to be 30 or 40 pages. And
I'll admit, I'm so glad I'm casual.
Yeah, I would hate to be like a tournament organizer trying to make sense of all this and keep track of it every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's my flow chart?
Exactly. And there seems to always have something come up. I mean, even in our casual games, we have to try, hey, does anybody understand how this works now? Because of the changes, and they're subtle, but they can have huge repercussions across the whole game, even with the little small change now because of what all is out there.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer either. I'm just kind of curious, where you guys stand.
Well, that's why I love the casual scene. That's why I love it, because I'm not going to memorize cards. I think anybody who's listened to this at this point knows that. I like the ships. They look cool. I build my list while I'm sitting there at the table. I don't spend a lot of time, going over it painstakingly detail by detail, because I know I'm not going to understand all the rules and I'm going to have missed something. And when I get there and try and play it, it's not going to work like I thought it did. So it's easier for me to sit there and have fun.
But like you said, you've been feeling this way for a while, and this is just further validation of you think it's gotten too far.
It was. My joke was I wanted a very simple, you can do this and then this and then this. Instead of you get one action a turn. I don't care what your ship is, you get one action a turn, possibly a second free one if you have some special ability. But now you've got not mechs, we got astromechs and other people giving you abilities and all this other stuff to where you have someone taking 3 actions in a turn before you've done anything. What? The game should, Vader was special because he got 2 actions. Right. Now he's just me. He's there. He's still cool, but
he only gets 2. He doesn't get 3.
Right.
Yeah. Soontier.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I'll say if J-Bot's on the this is further proof. I'm like I'm starting to think.
So I've almost got you into the conspiracy world.
It's more like
the world is flat. The world is flat. We never landed on the moon, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like,
I'm more like, I'm starting to think this is getting a little silly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think it's silly yet, but or even if there's a level where a game becomes silly just because it has too many features, too many to easily keep track of. I will say that the simple aspect of the game as a selling point is becoming less and less realistic.
Right.
I mean, you can sit someone down with a starter set and they can play the game, but it's not anything close to resembling what we would call the competitive level of the game anymore.
Right.
I was even listening to the Minox Squadron podcast tonight, and even one of their guys was lamenting the fact that he missed actually jousting ships and how the game used to be back in Wave 1 and how ships would just fly at each other and blast each other. You had to plan and think about it. You didn't have all this repositioning ability, and the T-65 was a valid ship to take, and jousters in general are valid ships to take. And
you'd plot your maneuver, and it was more or less final.
Yeah, when I was your age, we didn't have all this push limit and boost.
Right. And I mean, ultimately, games can change and they can evolve, and that's fine. I'm a really big player of an app on my phone called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And I love this game. I've played it. I've actually invested money in it, and it's so much fun. But recently, they just came out with this big game update where they added something called mods, and mods is this like next dimension for each character that you can add, where you can you make your Darth Vader character a little more potent, or you can make your your Rey character a little more health, give her a little more health. So it really just changed up. It shook up the entire game, and a lot of the people that played it, especially the higher tier, the higher level people, the really competitive ones anyway, they really stopped playing. They're just like, the game is completely different, and they didn't want to adapt to the new game that they had just spent months learning and perfecting. So I hope it doesn't really happen with this, because like I said, and again, like you guys have been saying, I'm really glad I'm casual. I'm really glad I'm a casual player, because imagine the competitive scene, people who have really honed in their skills and maybe little adjustments here and there for when a wave comes out, but now this is a whole new rule set. That's a big change.
Yeah
absolutely. So
but we'll see.
All right,
last but not least.
Yes, let's move on. I digress.
The ship that all the Star Wars fans around the world was clamoring for. Why is this ship not in X-Wing yet? It was on the screen for 0.75 seconds before it was destroyed. The Quad Jumper. Who can give us a background of this ship?
So this is a ship that Finn and Rey were initially running towards when they were trying to escape from Jakku. And it gets blown up pretty fast.
It was one-shotted.
Yeah, a TIE fighter swoops in, blows it apart with one blast. And
for the Emperor.
Yeah. And pretty much what it is it's kind of like a space tug. It's basically just engines and a cockpit and some clamps and tractor beams to handle cargo. And it goes up and goes back and forth between the surface and the orbit, ferrying cargo back and forth.
So, does Jake the Break want to give us a rundown of its stats?
You absolutely better believe I want to give you a rundown of the stats. All right, so this little Quad Jumper, it's a small ship. It's got a forward firing arc, and it has 2 attacks. It has 2 evade and a whopping 5 hull, but 0 shields, which I think is actually kind of funny and cool, considering that it just took one salvo of lasers to destroy it.
It was a crit. It must have been a Special Forces TIE that fired its missile that got a crit with direct hit.
Yeah, a couple crits with direct hit and just a single shot.
Yeah, that was it. That's all. Yeah, so I like it. It was that's kind of neat. It's got a barrel roll with a focus, which to me is kind of interesting. Looking at the ship, I don't immediately think, oh yeah, that thing can do some really tight maneuvering, nice barrel rolls. But then again, I could be wrong. Maybe those giant engines, those giant turbines, help it out with that. I don't know. But in any case, it does have a barrel roll. You can give it a crew. Looks like you can give it a bomb. And then it looks like it has that coordinate. Is that what it is, the coordinate action?
No. It has attack upgrade and illicit.
Okay, illicit. Yep. That's what I was looking at. Illicit and attack upgrade. And it is, of course, for the Scum and Villainy faction.
Yeah, I think it's, when I first saw it, I was like, I don't really care about this ship at all. Then I actually started thinking about it, and I have kind of a new respect for it, because when I look at it, it's a practical Star Wars ship. So this is one of the few ships I've ever seen in Star Wars where you can look at it and say, this is kind of a practical spaceship.
You have a good point there. I never actually thought about that.
Yeah, it looks like the type of ship that makes sense.
Yeah, that you would actually need.
Right.
To get stuff done.
It's built for its function, which is a space tug essentially. It's got a cockpit that you can have a great view of the surrounding space, as opposed to your typical like X-wing cockpit, for example, where you can't see below you, which is crazy.
Yeah, for a three-dimensional space.
Yeah, for a spaceship. For a fighter, it's kind of important, guys. And doesn't have any like big wings or anything. It just has these little maneuvering fins sticking out. Totally makes a lot of sense. And I think that we're gonna see some pretty crazy maneuver capability on this. It comes with 7 reference cards. Now, two of those are for bombs. One is for modification. One is for conditions. One is for tractor beam. There's one that starts with SE. Not really sure what that is. And there's one that clearly starts with the word reverse. So that has got to be some kind of reverse maneuver.
That's going to be kind of awesome.
Well,
yeah.
It said in the text that it's got 6 like speed 1 maneuvers.
Yeah.
So it sounds like from the outside looking in that this is a slow moving but still very kind of maneuverable ship.
You know what? I'm actually excited about that if that's the case. I feel like we get a lot of like really fast ships, a lot of like medium ships and whatever, but I would love to see more of like a ship that utilizes, like you said, just really slow 1 maneuver movements, but is also really, barrel rolls and whatnot. That sounds cool.
I mean, it makes sense. So you've got 1 straight and then 1 banks and sharp, so that's 5, and then a 1 reverse.
Yeah, and that's assuming that it has a 1 sharp. It could have like a reverse bank also.
Yeah, that's true. It could just be reverse maneuvers as the whole thing. I'm curious if it has a 0. If it has the ability to stop, kind of like the shuttle.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because is the shuttle the only one, or does the Decimator do it?
No, the shuttle's the only one, I think.
No, there's another one. There's one of the new ones. I'm trying to think.
Houndstooth.
Is it the Houndstooth? Yeah.
The Houndstooth.
Right, yeah.
I don't know my scum and villainy.
But no, this looks like it's an interesting ship. I am a little curious why, and this maybe it's explained in the people who understand the ship, why it doesn't have a boost. I mean, it's got 4 gigantic engines. It's just all engine. It can barrel roll around the engines, so it means it must have some kind of positioning thrusters. But I can't just go, and just give me a quick boost out of 4 gigantic engines. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're keeping with the space tug analogy, then I would imagine that it has like a lot of torque in its engines, if I'm using that term right. But doesn't have a top speed that's very impressive. All that
right. Like it's meant to haul, but it's not necessarily finesse.
It's got I guess if you look at it, that boost is kind of a pure, almost like a nitrous one shot of and you don't want to do that and burn up your cargo, whatever it is you're tugging. Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah, this is a construction vehicle. It's not.
It's got a lot of torque. Is essentially the ability to get put power to the ground. And
let's call it that.
Right. Yeah. Put power right behind you to get something moving is kind of the easiest.
It transfers power from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip in space.
Yes, somehow. That's why it's got 4 of them. It's 4 engine drive.
Yeah, I will say that there is a lot of nerd rage that or fan outrage. Why is this ship here instead of something like the assault gunboat? It was only on the screen for less than a second before it blew up. But I have to say, it was on the screen, which means this thing is actually more canon than, say, the assault gunboat or even the TIE Defender.
It literally got
that
on film.
Yeah,
you just blew that out of the water. Nice.
Yeah. So it is actually more canon than those other ships.
It goes back to my argument from way back. It was, you have to take all of the canon with any canon you take. So it's there on the film. That means it exists in the world. I don't care how much you hate it. So they can make a ship out of it.
Yep.
So what sort of upgrade? I can't read
So
there's one here, a score to settle. I can't read it. It's like micro print even when I zoom in. Has anybody
I'll
figured
tell
out
you
that?
because I've got the cheat sheet, but a 0-point EPT, a score to settle. During setup, before the place forces setup, choose one enemy ship and deal the a debt to pay condition card on it. And this is further. When attacking a ship that has the a debt to pay condition card, you may change one eyeball to a critical hit result. So it's almost like Agent Callus, where you pick one person and say, I'm going to mess you up.
Okay,
So-
I rolled right there and almost lost my vision. So we've added another step, like in front of a step to the game, and we haven't even started the game yet.
Well, no, it's been there. So adaptability and Agent Callus basically go before you place ships on the board. You say something has to happen. So like the adaptability.
Right, so
you
who
pick
chooses
plus or
first in
minus
that one?
And Agent Callus says, Charizard, I pick you.
Right. So who goes first when you have all these things competing? Is that just by initiative?
By initiative, actually. So you were talking about even in casual games. So tonight, things came up where Grand Moff Tarkin at the beginning of combat does something, and Torquil Mux does something at the beginning of combat, and I had to think about it and go, based on initiative, that's when you actually do the things. Who does what. Maybe it wasn't Tarkin, but it was the suppressor title. Anyways,
nonetheless, let's go ahead and add another step. It's an
So
interesting title.
Yeah. So you put that out on somebody, and whenever you're attacking that particular person, you are able to change one eyeball to a crit automatically.
The one neat thing is that it's not. I mean, it's a unique, but it's not specified to anything, so anybody can take it. Is the way I'm reading it, right? It's an EPT, but can only be used by Rebel or Scum or anything like that. It just looks like it's a generic.
Yeah, it's generic.
0-point EPT. So if you have space, just boop, there it is. I'm going to throw this on that guy.
Yeah, anybody can have a grudge.
But only one person. But only one person on your entire team can have a grudge.
The fact that it's a 0-point upgrade, to me suggests that the other half of this card, the condition card, is going to have a negative effect for you as the person with the EPT. So,
maybe some
it's something to do with
force
the
fire
focus.
at it, sort of thing.
It's something to do with the focus. I bet gives you focus to evade or focus to hit, something like that, or maybe add a focus result when you're being shot at or you're attacking.
I want to have a grudge against all Phantoms.
Yeah, this is perfect.
It's perfect. The gym title. Well, it makes me wonder if it's something along the lines of, if you have a shot on that target that you've nominated, you have to take it, sort of thing. Almost like a forced wedge. Or bigs.
Yeah, but that would be on the
bigs.
EPT.
Yeah, forced bigs, sort of thing.
That would be on the EPT, not the condition, though. Because the guy who has the condition is the guy who has a debt to pay.
True. And what happens if you have multiple people? Oh, I guess it's a unique EPT, so you can't have two people take it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But just to kind of go over, we know one pilot so far for this, Unkar Plut, who's the mushy guy who gives you full rations. I'll give you 20 rations.
That's Simon Pegg's character.
Yeah.
And so he is 17 points. So basically, it's got 5 hull, and that's it. And, 2 evade, 2 attack, and it's 17 points. And it's got all the various options: crew, bomb, tech illicit, barrel of focus, no target lock or anything like that. But 17 points, it's pretty cheap. I mean, you could start loading him up, and I'm sure he gets up there, but that's still pretty cheap.
And there is a generic one, so it'll be at least 1 or 2 points cheaper. So,
and if you want to talk about a cool blocker,
yeah,
a guy who hands out tractor beam tokens like they're candy, could be pretty
yeah,
good.
this ship does come with a lot of tractor beam tokens, it looks like. Yep. So.
It does.
Right.
I wonder what that bomb is.
His ability, Unkar Plut, at the end of the activation phase, which is basically, you move and pick your actions, you must assign a tractor beam token to each ship you are touching.
So that includes friendlies.
Yeah, so you want to get up and block, get up in somebody's business.
I wonder if there's like a time when you would want to assign a tractor beam to one of your own ships.
Oh yeah, because you can target lock it.
Explain the tractor beam portion again.
So when you get assigned a tractor beam, your agility drops by 1, and if it's the first tractor beam you're getting that turn, then you execute a barrel roll or boost maneuver. I'm not sure if it specifies that the player assigning the tractor beam token to you.
Yes. So basically, it's only small base ships, not large base, since we don't have medium yet. But basically, when you put the target lock token on someone, you can choose to either boost or barrel roll them. So you can barrel roll them on an asteroid. You can boost them out, so they can't shoot you, but you can still shoot them. Things like that. So it's one of those things about Atsu Kenyu and the Shadowcaster, where if you're in her forward firing arc and mobile arc, at the beginning of the turn, you can get, and you're in range 1 or so, you get free tractor beam token. So basically, she can get up in someone's grill and bump them, and then whoop, barrel roll them, so that she's not touching them. But maybe they bumped you and didn't get an action, but you can't shoot each other. Whoop, she target locks you. Or
there is an Unkar crew. I wonder if it does something similar.
Possibly.
So you could put that on the Shadowcaster as a very nasty.
We'll say that for the tractor beam token, when a tractor beam token is assigned to you, the opposing player chooses if you do a barrel roll or a boost.
Yeah, so it's whatever they want.
There's no time when you want to put a tractor beam token on your own ship.
Yeah, it did seem a little fishy.
Well, I mean, there might be, but it would have to be like super rare.
I don't know why the hell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why either. Just in case, if you think you're about to win the game and you really want to stick it to the other person.
Well, I gotta think. Unless they somehow reword it so that if you actually try to beam your own, you might be able to give it a booster barrel roll instead of.
I mean, it would have
opponent.
to be. It's very clear that says the opposing player.
But there's always gonna be an FAQ on it. So. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to see. But, so I think this is one that I also was not necessarily excited about when I heard it. I was like, oh, yay, they're kind of contractually obligated to do more Episode 7 ships. This one didn't even last a second. Joy. But then I started reading a whole bunch of stuff about it. I was like, actually, this seems pretty cool. And, so when I had a hard time seeing things, but I kind of went in the threads and asked, like, does anyone have a summary of what, what this ship does? And so, like, what there was, there's a rule card that has the word reverse on it, so we don't, know what's up with that. It looks like it's got an S-loop rule card, so we're going to do a sloop. The article says it will have 6 one-speed maneuvers, so is it reverse? The PS3 pilot puts a tractor token on everything in its base to base contact with at the end of the action phase. Wait, isn't that...
That's Unkar Plut.
Oh, but he's not PS3, is he?
He is.
Oh, okay.
It's got some kind of jump master or quad jumper only tractor beam upgrade.
Yeah, so something that only the quad jumper can do that somehow assigns tractor beam tokens. So more things about that. An illicit card that does something with destroyed ships and or discard cards. So so that like some sort of salvage things. Like so maybe if you destroy a ship or run over a destroyed ship or something along those lines, you might be able to somehow salvage modifications or something on it.
Maybe.
Something odd like that, which is kind of cool. Kind of like Hunger Games almost. Let's see.
There's at least one other crew there besides Unkar that we can't see. Somebody's probably figured out who it is, though. But
pilot school is a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7. And only the 1 is generic. So, there's 2 more well-known or, famous or uppity...
Unique.
I should say. Uniques. The 5 and 7 have an EPT slot. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think a whole tractor beam and who knows what craziness, and it's another mess with you card, and it doesn't seem to be super expensive, and you can trick it out to do a bit of crazy stuff if you want, but you don't have to.
I think it could be it has the potential to be an interesting disruptive ship.
Yeah,
especially if that tractor beam upgrade is good. We'll see. It's not. This thing isn't gonna. I don't think it's really statted out to wow anyone in like a straight up dogfight with 2 attack and 2 agility.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that guy could be a bump master. He can.
Yeah, Ungar Play. You really don't want to bump into him.
Right. But imagine a bunch of ordnance carriers or some other ships that can just really blast out the damage, and he goes in and just starts bumping into people. Tractor beams, a -1, agility, all sorts of crazy stuff. I like it. I'm actually more excited about that ship than I initially was.
Yeah, me too.
So I guess overall, my opinions are Sabine's TIE Fighter. It's kind of neat. Got a neat concept. It has some weird things you can do that are kind of neat. The support ship that can't be shot kind of thing. The Batwing, I'm a little leery of. I don't know. I'm sure fans out there will just probably be happy to have it, but I don't know. I'm like, I already have a Lambda. Do I really need another that just costs more and has an extra red die? I don't know.
Yeah.
This engineer of your Shuttle Tydirium does need that.
I don't know. I could see, and this is one of the least inspiring waves I've felt in a while.
Do we feel there's another ship missing?
Yeah.
Is there a chance there's a 4th ship that they're holding?
I think there's a really good chance that the U-Wing and the TIE Striker from Rogue One are going to get added to this wave in the near future.
Well, added to it like the T-70 and the TIE FO were quote added to it, even though they were kind of came out at different times.
Right.
Close enough. They kind of.
I think they were rushed to get to be in stores in time for the movie.
Yeah, but they weren't. I don't know if they were really quite part of the wave technically, but whatever.
They were technically, but maybe not practically, part of the wave.
And
they came early. Yeah.
The people in the forum say there's still one SKU for one product. It's not been known that's supposed to be released this year, and so what's that going to be? And
yeah, some people have speculated that it's a new starter kit that they're releasing alongside the movie. But I'm not sure if I buy that.
Some people speculate that this SKU is actually Rey's mom. Because everybody comes out as Rey's parent, It's the theory.
Yeah, that's how it always works. Yeah, or the what's the guy's name? The Dark Lord. God, I used to know
Snoke's real identity.
Snoke. Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, was it Snape or? I was like, wait a minute, that's Harry Potter.
Supreme Leader Snape.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do we
the
know?
Dark Arts.
Yeah, that's it's probably going to be his ship somehow.
I'll show you the
right way.
So, yeah, this SKU is Snope.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we should worry too much about that SKU. It could be like a dial upgrade or something. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it could be anything under the sun, really.
Deodorant. I don't know. Star Wars deodorant.
Yeah, another another mat.
Yeah, it could be a mat.
So overall, Jake, what's your ship you're most interested in?
Well, I think for me personally, the Epsilon shuttle is my favorite. I'm a huge shuttle fan in general. I love things with lots of crew and looks big and sleek, and I want to fly around it singing Batman.
Yeah.
But so that's my favorite. I'm excited for it. I know it's huge, but I could slide down those wings. I could
the shiny text.
Heck, I'll just put it next to my computer as a trophy. It looks so darn good. Anyway, so that's my number one.
Fit the case anywhere.
Yeah, forget. I'm not taking it anywhere. I am not carrying that thing.
What's your least favorite?
You know what? My second favorite was going to be the quad jumper because it was actually my least favorite until Phil opened his mouth, and now it's like, yeah, you know what? That is a really functional ship. Gosh darn it! I could totally see myself, buying several of those and just being like, yeah, we're a tugging company. Yeah, we're just trying to make our living.
We're not smugglers.
Jake's towing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Watch out for that parked illegally status effect.
Yep. There you go.
Free tractor beam token if parked in a no parking zone.
We're gonna put what are these called? The boot. Oh
yeah,
no, this is a boot. He's got the boot.
That's boot. All right. So J-Bot, what's your favorite ship?
I'm going with the Sabine Ty. I like the look of it. I love the kind of color scheme for it. I know I was picking on the guys at the shop this afternoon about the new special forces, and like, it looks just like every other tie except it's got a racing stripe on it. And it's like, no, it's a little fatter here, but here I am saying, oh, I really like this tie. It's got a better paint job. But I like having access to different ships for the rebels, and so I think it'll be fun to see how it will fit into everything. And least favorite's got to be that batarang that they threw out there on the table. That is like a cross promotional idea, is what that feels like. Where's the Robin crew?
That thing. All right. So, what about you, Phil?
So I'm pretty much in agreement with Jake. I think the shuttle looks the coolest. I think it'll be most interesting in-game, partly because of its beefy stat line, partly because of its upgrade bar, which I think you could just do a ton of different things with. Coordinate action coming into standard play, also really cool. The quad jumper, I think it's going to be very squirrely at low speeds. Clearly it has some sort of reverse maneuver. It does a lot of crazy things with tractor beams. And then Sabine's Ty, I'm not too crazy about. I think it's just too specific of a model of a ship. So like, for example, I can't see myself ever buying two of these because there's only one.
Oh yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And I frankly, I think that if I ever played this ship, I would probably stick a standard tie on the flight stand instead of Sabine's, because I think that seems more realistic to me. But that's probably just me.
Yeah, I'll say that the one I'm most interested in is the quad jumper. I think it could do a lot of neat stuff. Though I have to say that a totally mess with you Sabine ship has kind of jumped out at me in the past day or so. Like the idea of no one can shoot at you, but you can just muck with them and bump into them and cause all sorts of issues. That actually is starting to appeal to me a lot more. Like I really like that idea.
Hand out all those ion tokens too somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And the Batwing is just my least favorite. I will say that I'm actually warming up a little bit more to the TIE-FO, because I think even just the idea of using it as a 3 straight attack TIE fighter, it's cheaper than like a TIE Defender. It's more fragile than a TIE Defender, but I'm warming up to the idea, and some people actually have been trying to working out and getting good at getting shots out of 2 arcs and such. Mm-hmm. So who knows? It could be neat, but so I'm warming up to that. But I will need to warm up some to the Epsilon shuttle. I don't know. I like my Lambda. I'm fine with the Lambda. Why do we need an Epsilon?
What do we need is newfangled
You know, one of these days, you're going to crawl into the or crawl out of bed, and you're going to look at your Lambda shuttle, your Shuttle Tydirium, and you're going to notice that J-Bot and I have painted it entirely black. And I'm going to have removed removed the dorsal fin and painted the windshield red.
Yeah, and flip the fins up. I'll
bolted on some plywood to make the wings longer.
Yes, that's a lot of plywood, J-Bot. Where'd you get that plywood?
I found it somewhere.
Chop down one tree. One
Ewok tree. Thousands dead just for the
plywood. Hey, that was just
I leveled the Ewok village. Did you really need that much plywood? Plywood? What are you talking about?
Bought the plywood at a store. I just chopped down the tree for fun.
Why would I chop down a tree for plywood? Buy it at any hardware store in the galaxy.
Amazing.
Yeah. Did they really need those Ewoks on that tree? But anyways, all right. So I think that covers it for tonight. I think we got a good, nice 60-minute episode.
I like our round numbers. It's great.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, looks like that's it, and we'll leave it at that. We'll tune in next week for the next exciting installation of the Shuttle Tydirium Podcast, the mothership of Casual X-Men.
Night.